here are 10 mistakes people make when creating or designing dashboards. Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Adrian Sule with Future Moose, and in this episode, I would like to talk about 10 mistakes that we make with dashboards. So what makes dashboards valuable is when you have a sea of data in your app and you need to you need a simplified gateway to all the data so that your users can consume it in chunks and get what they need when they need it without being overwhelmed. So here are 10 mistakes people make when creating or designing dashboards. Number one, don't try to place all the information on the same page. Cramming all the data into one complex view has a problem. The problem is you're not prioritizing the right information. You need to present the right information and stir the user curiosity to drill down deeper and deeper and deeper to learn more, versus listening to some stakeholders and decision makers who will ask to cram everything into one single complicated view, and then it blows up the cognitive load on your users. Dealing with large, complicated data sets is not easy, I know. And you need to find ways in simplifying the data into easy to digest chunks. You see, your goal is to prioritize what information to display on the top level pages and what should live deeper and deeper down. And make sure what does stay up does stir enough curiosity for a deeper dive later on users' request. And it needs to happen at the right time. So you need to tell a story as well with the data that you're showing. So of course, don't overwhelm them. I keep saying that. Don't overwhelm your users with the stuff that goes on the screen. Let your users also use things like global interactions, such as searching, sorting, filtering, etc. Now, we need each viewer to have access to the data they need at the right time. So reveal it at the right time. I want you to get that in your head. Don't show less, and also don't show too much. Some users might need to be able to see a more granular view of the data, and others could suffice it, with what they see in the overview. For the ones who need more, drill down, baby. Just keep drilling down. All right, number two. When an often mistake I see is when you're not matching the user's mental model. Users have a specific mental model for categorizing and chunking data in their heads. So when you're grouping the side menu, primary pages, and secondary pages, you need to align it with how the user's expecting to see them and find information. So make sure you run a couple of unmoderated or moderated usability tests and check, do some card sorting techniques and see what users expect. User storytelling, where users can choose their own adventure. Use storytelling, that's what I meant. Think of showing your data on hierarchy levels. So level 1, overview of data. Find ways to stir curiosity, like I said earlier, for users to interact with it and dive deeper. Level 2, imagine double the size of that information, and level 3, everything you got. Okay, number 3, getting the navigation UX wrong. It's not an easy task, and not many understand what goes behind the screen, but using a single side menu where you cram all the navigational needs will make the dashboard difficult to use. Instead, use a mix of a side menu for primary pages and also a top navigation bar for quick tools, user profile, and settings, and other global or in-page contextual actions like search, filter. You can also leverage the top navigation bar for other things, such as breadcrumbs for navigating back through the pages, or tabs for the current page, or even the page title for the current page. for a current page. But these are optional, and I would be careful using those. Okay, number 4, the fourth mistake is displaying too many KPIs on one page. The rule of thumb should be between 6 and 10 maximum visualization per page. So try and be minimalistic with your approach and have your dashboard focus on the right KPIs. Don't blow it up with too many KPIs because your stakeholders wants to see everything in one view. They're not the designers, you know. So anyway, number 5, you're not choosing the right data visualization. So by matching the right data visualizations or charts, the actual data types, you're making your data visualizations very difficult to interpret. So you have to be careful there. Try to have a strong understanding of the type of messaging you're sending through your data as well. But you can use like 4 quick popular categories just for you and for users maybe to better understand what data should express. So one could be, you know, showing relationships, so the connection between 2 different or more variables, or comparisons. You want to show 2 or more variables side by side. Composition is another one. You're just breaking data into separate artifacts that you show on the screen. And then another one could be distribution, where you're showing a range and you're grouping values within blocks of data. And I'll talk about this one in my tip number 10 around colors, because I see a lot of mistakes with colors as well. Okay, number 6 mistake. Sixth mistake is you're not adapting your dashboard to the user's device needs. So if your target audience will mostly use it for, you know, as a mobile version, start building your dashboard with mobile first, and then do the desktop. If your research shows you that your audience would only consume your data on a desktop and they don't care about mobile, obviously do it desktop only, or maybe it's both. But if you do go for mobile or responsiveness, make sure you follow the best practices regarding device standards as well. Okay, the 7th mistake that I see in dashboards is where you're not using, you are using static content. You're displaying static content like ads or images or blocks of text. You know, your users come to those dashboards to consume dynamic and fresh content. And you need to encourage that repeat, users, and, you want them to get hooked with your product. So you need to show them something that your product will trigger curiosity, and something that's always fresh and new. So static content, no way, Jose. Okay, the 8th issue that I see is using bad layouts. The most significant insights should be at the top of the dashboard, and then the trends could be in the middle, and then the granular details could go below the fold at the bottom. Okay, that's a simple one. But number 9 is related, which is white space and separating the modules. Don't confuse your users with crammed visuals that bleeds into one another and they're too close to each other, because it's hard for their eyes to follow the data. And instead, try to separate everything in blocks. Give it some air. I'm doing air quotes while saying air. Or negative space, basically. Make sure you bring a visual balance, and don't be afraid to add too much space between design elements. Scrolling is not expensive. Making your user's mind blow up for things that are conglomerated is expensive. Anyway, and the last one, using the wrong colors. Number 10, when using the wrong colors, when you have charts that compare groups of data, you're using reds and greens, it can become confusing and leads to misinterpretations. One of them performing good and the other one performing bad, when both of them were trying to show positive data. So be careful with those color choices. And when defining your color palettes, also try not to use a high variety of colors, as that can be overwhelming too. So lastly, make sure you test your colors for color-blinded people and make any necessary tweaks as well. That's it. Those are my 10 mistakes to avoid when building dashboards. I just wanted to take a few moments at the end and thank you so much for watching all the way through. And it would mean the world to me if you could share your love and feedback of any kind in the comments below. Love you guys, and thank you so much for watching through. And this really means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Ciao.